I'm back in the Blue Mountains this morning. The air's sharp, my breath's hanging in the sunlight, and the valley's waking under a layer of frost. It's one of those mornings where everything feels still, but you still can sense the stories beneath the ground. Today I'm tracing what's left of the old Lithgow Valley Colliery Pottery, a place where fire once ruled this cold earth. In the heart of the Lithgow Valley lies the forgotten industrial world, where coal, clay and human endeavour collided to forge a community. This was the Lithgow Valley Colliery Pottery, a place where fire shaped more than bricks. It forged a town's identity and helped build a state. By the 1870s, the valley's black seams were being carved open after this great zigzag railway linked this rugged plateau to the coast. The Lithgow Valley Colliery Company formed around 1872 to 73, and soon the sound of picks and steam engines filled the gorge. Families settled nearby, children chased coal carts across the sidings, the valley pulsed with hammer strikes, coal dust and the promise of progress. Lithgow was no longer just a quiet stop on the Western Line. It was fast becoming the industrial heart of the inland New South Wales. Mining here was a craft, carved in darkness and risk. Shafts collapsed without warning, pockets of gas lay hidden beyond the pick. In 1886, disaster struck. A fire ripped through the workings, claiming the manager John Doig and two others. When operations resumed, a gas explosion followed, killing 5 more. The figures blurred with time, but the toll was real. Yet the mine pressed on. For every life lost, dozens more descended the shafts, because Lithgow's coal-powered locomotives, furnaces and growing colony that could not slow down. The coal didn't stay here for long. Loaded wagons rattled down the great zigzag, carrying Lithgow's lifeblood to Sydney's furnaces, factories and homes. Each ton linked this wild valley to the pulse of the modernising world. Coal was the artery, but soon clay would become the soul. Around 1876, the colliery turned its attention to clay. By 1878, the first sanitary and agricultural pipes rolled off the moulds, fired in tall round kilns beside Bent Street. And in 1879, English potter James Silcock joined the works, bringing fineware skill to an industrial frontier. Each jug, pipe and tile carried the mark of the kangaroo, Lithgow's proud emblem pressed into wet clay. While domestic pottery was short-lived, the bricks, chimney-pots and pipes become the backbone of New South Wales. They built homes, tunnels and viaducts, their imprint hidden in the walls of cities, towns and far beyond this valley. Even now when crews dig up for repairs, they still uncover pipes stamped LVP, a buried reminder of how far the valley's reach once extended. Yeah, so that's pretty crazy, eh? So that's part of the pottery. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I'll have a look on the maps and all the information, and I'll give some information on what that building is right there, but it is part of it. Amazing. It's huge, that chimney stack. Massive. Not sure if that's part of anything, but yeah, it's crazy. As you can see in there, it really is. The tower over you is massive. Yeah, like I said, I'll give a bit of information on this place here because it looks kind of pretty interesting. I'm not quite sure what that is, but amazing. This is huge, absolutely huge. So you can kind of see a little pulley up the top there. It's hanging off the corner there. So I dare say they probably hoisted things up into there, maybe. Stunning morning. It's pretty fresh this morning. Very cold. I'm all rugged up, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. Just having a wee look at this. I dare say these are some of the old bricks made from the kiln. When the First World War erupted, Lithgow's coal and clay kept the nation moving. Munitions factories roared to life, railways hauled troops and supplies, and beneath the valley floor the miners kept the fires burning. Every shift underground, every kiln load above, was part of a larger machine, a quiet contribution to the country at war. Between the wars, life in Lithgow changed but never slowed. The pottery's domestic side had faded, yet the clayworks still rolled out bricks and pipes for the growing state. Families built their lives around the rhythms of the whistle. The valley had become more than an industry. It was a community forged in soot, skill, and stubborn pride. When war returned, the kilns burned again. Bricks for factories, pipes for infrastructure, coal for the engines of war. But as peace came, the fires dimmed. By 1945, the clayworks fell silent. The last pipes cooled in their moulds, and in 1946, the plant was sold off at auction. Nearly 70 years of fire and labour ended in smoke and silence. By the 1950s, only fragments remain. The great pipe kiln nicknamed Big Ben stood until 1977, when it finally collapsed. The collar itself was erased in 1972, buried beneath a supermarket car park. The tramway that once carried clay, coal to the main line vanished beneath asphalt, though its ghost still contours the land. Yet not all was lost. The old pattern and pottery store still stands, its windows bricked against time. The tall square chimney rises through clay weeds. A clay store crowned with a rusting water tank leans toward the valley, and a lonely powder magazine survives on the eastern ridge. These are Lithgow's last sentinels, remnants of a world built on fire and faith and progress. The Lithgow Valley Colliery and Pottery is more than ruin and rubble. It's a monument to resilience, to the miners who braved the dark and the artisans who shaped clay into permanence. Each brick, each shard, each shadow tells their story, and here, the quiet valley, that story still waits for us to listen. How did a humble pottery in the shadow of an industrial colliery produce art that ended up showcased at Sydney's International Exhibition? Amidst the smoke and clatter of Lithgow Valley Colliery, a quieter form of industry was taking shape. The Lithgow Valley Pottery transformed simple raw clay into objects that were both practical and beautiful: terracotta pipes that carried water, sturdy bricks that built homes, and intricately designed pottery that could grace any table. Each piece reflected skill, patience, and creativity of artisans who laboured beside one of the harshest industrial environments in New South Wales. So exceptional was their craft that in 1879, the pottery was selected for display at the Sydney International Exhibition, showcasing Lithgow not just as a mining town, a place where human ingenuity and artistic excellence flourished against the odds. What was it really like to work in the darkness of the tunnels, where one wrong step could be fatal, yet generations of families depended on the colliery? The life of a miner was a daily confrontation with danger. Inside those narrow tunnels, dimly lit flickering lanterns, every swing of a pickaxe could bring down rock. Dust-filled lungs coated every surface, and every single misstep could mean disaster. Yet despite the risk, generations of families relied on the colliery for survival. Fathers, brothers and sons descended into the earth day after day, driven by the necessity and pride, forging a life in the shadows that would echo through history. These tunnels were more than passages through rock. They were arteries of community, sacrifice and courage, each coal seam carrying the weight of countless untold stories.